All right, so get ready because today we're going to be diving deep into AI-powered flipped classrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Using AI to actually make education like truly personalized has always kind of felt like something way off in the future.
hmm
But this book, we're looking at Revolutionizing Education by Asa Ann,
Yeah.
is making me think that it might be a lot closer than we think.
Yeah, it really digs into how it could actually work, which is super interesting.
Yeah, and it focuses on the flipped classroom model,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
not just like broadly saying, hey, AI in education. It's like, hey, this one specific thing.
It is, and it's like this thing that's already pretty innovative,
Yeah?
and then it's taking it to a whole other level with AI, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, so before we even get into the AI part, let's just like break down
Yeah.
what a flipped classroom actually is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not just like watching lectures in your pajamas, right?
Right, it's not just that. It's really about flipping the traditional model, like completely on its head. So instead of going to class and like passively listening to a lecture
Right.
and then, struggling to apply those concepts at home when you're doing homework or whatever,
Yeah.
you actually dive into the material before class.
Okay.
So this could be through, videos or interactive simulations or even, podcasts like ours.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll plug.
But then class time becomes all about active learning.
Okay.
So you're tackling those challenging problems, you're
Yeah.
collaborating on projects,
hmm
you're getting that personalized guidance from the teacher.
So it's less about just memorizing facts and more about actually like using what you've learned.
Exactly.
I know.
And, it's not even like a brand new concept.
Right.
The book actually traces it back to the year 2000.
Wow.
When these two high school chemistry teachers, Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams, they started recording their lectures for students to watch at home because they wanted to use that class time more effectively for hands-on activities and for having those deeper discussions.
So they were kind of ahead of their time a little bit.
Totally. Yeah, they were pioneers of this.
Okay, so what's the big deal about flipping the classroom, though? Like,
Right.
does it actually lead to better learning?
Well, there's a growing body of research that suggests that it can.
Interesting.
In fact, the book cites a study that found that students in flipped classrooms
Okay.
had significantly higher test scores.
Wow.
And they reported feeling more engaged and more motivated
That makes sense.
compared to traditional classrooms. And I
Yeah.
think a big part of that is that they felt more in control of their own learning.
Right.
Because they could, rewatch the lectures at their own pace,
Yeah.
pause it, take notes, really digest the material.
So it's very self-directed.
Exactly. Very self-directed.
Yeah, I can see the benefits there. But I imagine there are some challenges too, right?
Oh, for sure.
Not every student has like the same access to technology at home
Right.
or a quiet place to study. Those are definitely some hurdles.
Yeah. And the book actually acknowledges those limitations.
Okay. Yeah.
It stresses that it's really important to make sure there's equitable access
Yes.
to technology and support for all students.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, you got to do it right.
Exactly. And, for teachers, it
Yeah.
requires a pretty significant shift in mindset
Right.
and in their teaching approach.
Mm.
They need to become facilitators of learning.
Right.
They have to design these really engaging in-class activities
Right.
that build on that pre-class material.
It's like they have to kind of flip their own thinking about the classroom too.
Exactly. It's a whole new way of approaching teaching.
So that's where I feel like the AI comes in, right?
Yes, exactly.
It seems like it could address some of those challenges
Yeah.
and like take the benefits of flipped classrooms to a whole other level.
Totally. And the book dives into some really, really exciting applications of AI.
Okay. Yeah.
And it all starts with this idea of personalized learning.
Yeah.
So imagine a world where textbooks adapt to your own individual needs and learning style.
Wait, what? Adaptive textbooks?
Yeah.
That sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It might sound futuristic, but honestly, it's closer than you think.
Okay.
AI can actually analyze your learning patterns,
Yeah.
pinpoint your strengths and weaknesses, and then tailor the difficulty and type of content accordingly.
Okay.
So if you're breezing through a concept, it'll move you along.
Right.
If you're struggling, it'll provide extra support and practice.
So it's like no more one-size-fits-all lessons.
Exactly.
Everybody gets a truly personalized learning experience.
Exactly. That's the idea.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. And it's not just about textbooks.
Okay.
AI can personalize assessments, too.
What does that even mean? Like, the AI is going to be like writing pop quizzes for everybody.
Well, Not quite.
Right.
Think of it more like an assessment
Sure.
that adapts to your performance in real time.
Okay.
So the book calls these adaptive assessments. The questions get harder or easier based on how you're doing.
Oh, wow.
So if you're acing those early questions, the AI throws in some tougher ones to really challenge you.
Right.
If you're struggling, it adjusts to focus on areas where you need more support.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like making sure that everybody is being like appropriately challenged and nobody feels left behind.
Exactly.
I like that. But what about students who need extra help? Like, does AI just completely replace the teacher in that scenario?
That's a great question, and it's one that the book definitely addresses.
Okay.
One of the really exciting applications of AI is what they call intelligent tutoring.
Okay.
So imagine having access to this virtual tutor
Mm-hmm.
that can answer your questions 24/7.
Okay.
It can give you personalized feedback on your work.
Wow.
And it can even explain those tricky concepts that you just can't wrap your head around.
So it's like having a personal study buddy
Yeah.
who's always available
Exactly.
and never gets tired of your questions. That's awesome.
Mhm.
But then does that make human teachers obsolete?
No, not at all.
Okay, good.
In fact, the book argues that AI can actually enhance the role of teachers. Think of it as a really powerful tool that frees them up from all those time-consuming tasks,
Okay.
like grading and delivering that, really basic content.
Right. So the stuff that like maybe isn't the best use of their time.
Exactly.
So then they have more time to actually work with students one-on-one.
Right.
Yeah. I see how that would be helpful.
Yeah, so instead of lecturing at the front of the classroom, they can spend more time working with those students who need that extra help.
Right. And facilitating all of those like deeper learning experiences
Exactly.
that an AI can't replicate.
Right.
Yeah. It's almost like they become more of a mentor than just like the person at the front of the room.
Exactly. They become more of a guide, more of a facilitator.
So I'm starting to see how all of this could really transform the classroom experience.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I still have some questions about like the practicalities of all of this.
Sure.
Like, how do we actually make this work?
Well, luckily, the book actually dives into several real-world examples of schools and teachers that are already using AI in flipped classrooms.
Okay, cool.
And it highlights some of the key considerations for successful implementation.
Okay, I'm definitely eager to hear more about that.
Yeah.
But before we get there, I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
All of this amazing technology, like, I'm sure it comes with some concerns.
Of course. No technology is without its challenges, and AI in education is definitely no exception.
Okay, so lay it on me.
Mhm.
What are some of the potential downsides that we need to consider?
Well, one of the biggest ones is making sure there's equitable access to technology and support.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Exactly.
We can't just assume that every student has a laptop
Right.
and reliable internet at home.
Right, exactly.
Like, if we're not careful, this could actually make existing inequalities in education even worse.
Absolutely. That's a huge concern, and it's something we need to address very carefully.
Okay, so that's one big one. Are there any other concerns?
Yeah, there are definitely other things to think about.
Okay.
For example, some people worry that AI could lead to a narrowing of the curriculum,
Okay.
with too much focus on data-driven instruction and standardized testing.
I see what you mean.
So we don't want to lose sight of the importance of, creativity and critical thinking and those uniquely human skills that AI just can't replicate.
Right, all the things that make us human and make us interesting. Right?
Exactly.
Like, we don't want to just turn everybody into robots.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's another thing to keep in mind. What else?
Well, there's also the question of teacher training and support.
Yeah, the big one.
How do we actually equip teachers with the skills and knowledge they need to use AI effectively in their classrooms?
Right, like AI is a powerful tool, but it's only as good as the people who are using it, right?
Exactly.
We need to make sure that teachers feel empowered by AI, not threatened by it.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technical skills either.
Okay.
Teachers also need to be prepared to address the ethical implications of using AI in education.
Right, like what are the ethical implications? Can you give me an example?
Well, think about all the data that AI systems collect on students.
Okay. Yeah.
How do we make sure that data is used responsibly and
Right.
ethically? How do we protect student privacy?
Yeah.
How do we prevent bias in algorithms?
Those are definitely some big questions.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a lot to think about before we just like unleash AI in all the classrooms.
Yes, but it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay, good.
The book actually does a great job of highlighting both the challenges and the opportunities of AI in education.
Good.
And it offers some really practical guidance for schools and teachers who are
Nice.
ready to kind of dive in and get started.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key takeaways for successful implementation? Like if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, this sounds cool, but how do I actually do it?
Right.
What are some of the things they should keep in mind?
Well, one of the biggest takeaways is that AI should be seen as a tool to enhance teaching and learning,
Okay,
not as a replacement for teachers.
gotcha. So give me an example. How would that work in practice?
Okay, so imagine a teacher
Mm-hmm.
who's using an AI-powered platform
Right.
to analyze student data from like a pre-class quiz or something.
Okay.
The AI might flag that a group of students is struggling with a particular concept.
Okay.
So instead of spending all this class time reteaching the whole concept to everybody,
Right.
the teacher can use that insight to create targeted small group activities or provide individualized support to those students.
So it's kind of about using AI to make the teacher's time more efficient
Exactly.
and more effective.
Yeah, it frees them up to focus on what they do best, which is, building those relationships, providing mentorship,
Yeah.
facilitating those deeper learning experiences that AI can't replicate.
So it's not about robots replacing teachers.
True.
It's about human teachers and AI working together
Exactly.
to create, this more personalized
Yeah.
and engaging learning experience.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And it sounds like some schools are already doing this,
They are.
which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the book highlights some really interesting examples.
Like what?
So, for instance, some schools are using AI-powered chatbots
Okay.
to answer students' questions outside of class time,
Oh, that's a good idea.
right?
So if you're working on something late at night and you can't get a hold of your teacher,
Exactly.
you have that resource.
You have that 24/7 study buddy.
I wish I had that when I was in school.
Me too.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, and some schools are experimenting with using AI to personalize the feedback
Okay.
that students receive on their work.
That's interesting.
So instead of just getting a grade and a few, generic comments.
Yeah, like, good job, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the
That's-
typical stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Students can get this really detailed feedback
Okay.
that's tailored to their strengths
Right.
and their areas for improvement.
That sounds much more helpful than those generic comments.
Right.
Like, if the feedback is personalized and relevant, I feel like students are actually going to pay attention to it.
Exactly. And the book points out that this type of personalized feedback can be really, really motivating for students.
That makes sense.
It helps them feel seen and understood,
Yeah.
and it encourages them to keep, striving for growth.
Okay, so this is all starting to sound less like some futuristic fantasy
Right?
and more like an actual tangible possibility.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, but also a little bit daunting, right?
Yeah.
Like, if this is going to happen, if AI is going to play such a big role in education,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of skills are students going to need to, actually thrive in this new world?
That's a great question, and it's one the book tackles head on.
Okay.
It argues that we need to shift our focus away from rote memorization
Okay.
and towards those deeper learning skills like
Yeah.
critical thinking,
Yeah.
problem solving, creativity, collaboration.
All the things that we hear employers are saying they need more of, right?
Exactly.
So it almost feels like this could help prepare students for the workforce of the future, not just for taking tests in school.
Precisely. And, if AI is taking care of those lower level tasks
Yeah.
like data analysis
Yeah.
and content delivery, it frees up teachers to focus on those higher order thinking skills
Okay.
that are going to be so essential in a world where AI is everywhere.
So it's not just about teaching students how to use AI.
Right.
It's about teaching students how to think critically about AI and
Absolutely.
its implications.
Yeah, we need to equip students with the skills to navigate a world where AI is increasingly present
Mhm.
in all aspects of their lives.
Right. It's all around us already.
It is.
And it's only going to become more so.
Exactly.
So understanding how it works,
Yeah.
recognizing its limitations,
Mm-hmm.
being able to use it ethically and responsibly.
Right.
These are all really important skills.
Yeah.
So it feels like if we do this right,
Mm-hmm.
AI could be a real game changer for education.
It really could.
But, let's be realistic.
Okay.
We're not going to wake up tomorrow and everybody's in an AI-powered classroom.
Right.
There's still a long way to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a journey.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps
Good question.
in actually making this vision a reality?
Well, the book offers some really concrete
That's
suggestions.
great.
It suggests a kind of multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
First of all, we need to invest in research and development
Okay.
to create AI tools that are actually designed for education.
Right.
It's not just about taking existing AI technologies and kind of shoehorning them into a classroom.
Yeah.
We need tools that are really tailored to the needs of learners and educators.
So we need AI that actually understands how students learn,
Exactly.
not just AI that can like churn through a bunch of data.
Right, and that requires collaboration
Yeah.
between educators, computer scientists, and learning scientists.
Right. Everybody working together.
Exactly. We need the best minds from all these different fields
Yeah.
coming together to create AI that's really effective and ethical.
But it's not just about the technology, right?
Right.
We need to think about how we're actually preparing teachers
Totally.
to use these tools effectively.
Yeah, that's crucial.
It sounds like there's a lot of work to be done,
There is.
but there's also a lot of potential for positive change.
Absolutely.
So what's your biggest takeaway from this book?
Mm.
Like, what's the one thing you want our listeners to remember?
Well, the biggest takeaway for me is that AI has this incredible potential to democratize education.
Okay.
It can help us create a world where every student, regardless of their background, their circumstances,
Yeah.
has access to personalized learning experiences
Right.
that are tailored to their unique needs and aspirations.
That's a really powerful vision.
It is.
And it's not just about improving test scores, right?
No, it's not just about that.
It's about empowering students to become lifelong learners
right.
who are curious and adaptable and ready to thrive in a world that's changing so quickly.
Exactly.
So AI could potentially help us create this more equitable,
Yeah.
more engaging, and more effective education system for all.
Right.
But it's up to us to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically,
Absolutely.
always putting the student at the center.
Always.
Well said. This book has given us a lot to think about.
It has.
So what's the one question you want our listeners to kind of ponder
Okay.
as they go about their day-to-day?
I think I'd ask them this. If AI could truly understand how you learn best,
Okay.
what doors could that open for you? What passions could you explore?
What challenges could you overcome?
Wow, that's a fantastic question.
Yeah, it's a future worth imagining and working towards.
It is. It is. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's been really eye-opening.
Yeah, it's been great.
And I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this topic.
We have.
There's so much more to explore.
There is.
But, we'll save that for another time.
All right.
Thanks again.
The pleasure was all mine. One of the biggest concerns is making sure there's equitable access to technology and support for all students.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just assume that every student has a laptop and reliable internet at home.
Right.
Like, if we're not careful, AI could actually exacerbate existing inequalities in education.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge concern, and it's something that we need to be very, very careful about.
Yeah, for sure.
And, there are other concerns, too. For example, some people worry that AI could lead to kind of a narrowing of the curriculum. Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, with too much focus on data-driven instruction and standardized testing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose sight of the importance of creativity and critical thinking.
Exactly.
All of those uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate.
Right, all the things that make us human and make us interesting, right?
Exactly. Like, we don't want to just turn everybody into robots.
Right. We want to use AI to enhance those human skills, not replace them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's the whole question of teacher training and support, too.
Right. That's a big one.
How do we actually equip teachers with the skills and knowledge they need to use AI effectively in their classrooms?
Yeah, because AI is a really powerful tool.
It is.
But it's only as good as the people who are using it.
Exactly.
We need to make sure that teachers feel empowered by AI, not threatened by it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not even just about those technical skills.
Ugh.
Teachers also need to be prepared to address the ethical implications
Okay, yeah.
of using AI in education.
Yeah, like what are the ethical implications?
Well, think about, for example, all the data that AI systems collect on students.
Right, okay.
How do we make sure that that data is used responsibly and ethically?
Yeah.
How do we protect student privacy?
Right.
How do we prevent bias in algorithms?
Right, those are big questions.
They are. There's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot to consider
Yeah.
before we just unleash AI on all of the classrooms.
Yes, but, it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay.
I mean, the book does a really good job of highlighting both the challenges and the opportunities of AI in education,
Right.
and it actually offers some really practical guidance for those
It is.
schools and teachers
Right.
who are, ready to dive in and get started.
Okay, that's reassuring.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key takeaways for successful implementation?
Like, if somebody's listening to this and they're like, okay, this sounds really cool, but like, how do I actually do it?
Right.
What are some of the things that they should keep in mind?
Well, one of the biggest takeaways is that AI should really be seen as a tool to enhance teaching and learning,
Okay.
not as a replacement for teachers.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah. Give me an example. How would that work in practice?
Okay, so imagine a teacher who is using like an AI-powered platform to analyze student data from, a pre-class quiz.
Okay.
The AI might flag that a group of students is struggling with a particular concept.
Okay.
So instead of, spending all of that precious class time reteaching the whole concept to everybody,
Right.
the teacher can actually use that insight to create targeted small group activities
Okay.
or provide individualized support to those students who need it most.
So it's almost like you're using AI to make the teacher's time more efficient.
Exactly.
And more effective.
Yeah. It's about freeing them up to focus on what they do best.
Which is building relationships, providing mentorship, facilitating those deeper learning experiences.
Right. The things that AI can't replicate.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's not about robots replacing teachers.
No.
It's about human teachers
Mm.
and AI working together
Right.
to create a more personalized
Yes.
and engaging learning experience.
That's the goal.
Yeah. And it sounds like some schools are already doing this, which is really cool.
They are. The book highlights some interesting examples.
Oh, like what? What are they doing?
Well, for instance, some schools are using AI-powered chatbots
Okay.
to answer students' questions outside of class time.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right.
Like if you're working on something late at night
Yeah.
and you can't get a hold of your teacher,
Yeah, exactly.
you have that resource
They
there.
have that 24/7 study buddy.
I wish I had that when I was in school.
Oh, me too.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah. And, some schools are also experimenting with using AI to personalize the feedback
Okay.
that students receive on their work. Oh, that's interesting.
So instead of just getting a grade and like a few generic comments.
Right, like, good job, or, whatever, just the typical stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Students can actually get this really detailed feedback
Okay.
that's tailored to their strengths
Yeah.
and their areas for
That
improvement.
sounds much more helpful than just like those generic comments that I feel like most students probably just ignore anyway.
Right. And if it's personalized and it's relevant, students are more likely to pay attention to it.
Totally.
And the book points out that this type of personalized feedback can be really, really motivating.
Yeah, makes sense.
It helps students feel seen, it helps them feel understood,
Yeah.
and it encourages them to keep striving for growth.
Okay, so this is all starting to sound less like, some far-off futuristic fantasy.
Right.
And more like an actual possibility, like something that could really happen.
It is.
Which is really exciting,
Yeah,
but also, a little bit daunting, right?
it is.
Like, if AI is going to play such a big role in education, what kind of skills are students going to need to actually thrive in this new world?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's one that the book addresses head on.
Okay.
It argues that we need to kind of shift our focus away from rote memorization
Okay.
towards deeper learning skills.
Okay, like what kinds of skills?
Things like critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, collaboration.
All those things that we hear employers are saying that they need more of, right?
Exactly.
So it almost seems like this could help prepare students for the workforce of the future, not just for, taking tests in school.
Exactly. And if AI is taking care of those lower level tasks,
Right.
like data analysis and content delivery, it frees up teachers to really focus on developing those higher order thinking skills
Okay.
that are going to be essential
Right.
in a world where AI is just everywhere.
Okay, so it's not just about teaching students how to use AI.
Right.
It's also about teaching them how to think critically about AI.
Absolutely.
And its implications.
Yeah. We need to give them those skills to navigate a world where AI is just increasingly present
Yeah.
in all aspects of their lives.
Right. I mean, it's already all around us.
It is.
And it's only going to become more so.
Exactly.
So understanding how it works, recognizing its limitations, being able to use it ethically and responsibly.
Yes.
These are all really, really important skills.
They are. We have to prepare students for this new world.
Yeah, it feels like if we do this right, AI could really be a game changer for education.
It really could.
But, let's be realistic here.
Yeah.
We're not going to wake up tomorrow and everyone's suddenly in an AI-powered classroom.
No, it's going to be a journey.
There's still a long way to go, right?
There is. It's a process.
So where do we go from here? What are the next steps
That's the big question.
in making this vision a reality?
Is a big question. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, it feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative.
But also a little bit daunting.
Yeah.
Like, where do we even begin?
Well, the book suggests that, a multi-pronged approach is really needed.
Okay.
So first of all, we have to invest in research and development to create AI tools that are specifically designed for education.
Okay, so not just taking, like, existing AI.
Right. It's not just about taking existing technology.
Like repurposing them.
Yeah, and just trying to, shoehorn them into a classroom.
Right.
It's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
We need tools that are really tailored to the unique needs of learners.
Right, and educators.
And educators, yeah,
So
absolutely.
we need AI that understands how students learn.
Right.
Not just AI that can, churn through a bunch of data.
Exactly. We need AI that's pedagogically sound,
Well,
and that requires a lot of collaboration
Yeah.
between educators, computer scientists, and learning scientists.
so it's not just, the tech people kind of off doing their thing.
Right. It has to be this interdisciplinary effort.
Yeah, everybody working together.
Yeah. Yeah, to create AI that's really effective and ethical.
Okay. Yeah, because, it can't just be effective. It also has to be ethical.
Absolutely.
But it's not just about the technology itself, right?
Right.
We also need to think about how we prepare teachers to use these tools effectively.
That's crucial. The book really emphasizes the importance of professional development for teachers.
Yeah.
We need to equip them with the knowledge and skills to confidently integrate AI into their classrooms.
Right. And it's not just about the technical skills, right?
Right. It's not just about knowing how to use the software,
It's about understanding, the why.
the why.
Yeah, the how.
Exactly. It's about understanding the pedagogical implications of AI
Yeah.
and how to use it in a way that actually enhances their role as educators.
Right, not replaces them.
Not replaces them, exactly.
So it sounds like there's a lot of work to be done.
There is.
But it also feels like there's a lot of potential
Oh, yeah.
for really positive change.
Absolutely.
What would you say is your biggest takeaway from this book? What's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
The biggest takeaway for me is that AI has this incredible potential to democratize education.
Okay.
It can help us create a world
Yeah.
where every student, regardless of their background, their circumstances, has access to these personalized learning experiences that are really tailored to their unique needs and aspirations.
Yeah, that's a really powerful vision.
It is. It's a really exciting possibility.
And it's not just about, improving test scores, right?
No, not at all.
It's about, empowering students to become lifelong learners who are curious and adaptable and ready to thrive in this world that's changing so rapidly.
Exactly. And I think AI can play a huge role in that.
Yeah, it seems like if we do this right,
Mm-hmm.
AI could help us create this more equitable and engaging and effective education system for everyone.
You really could.
But it's on us to make sure that it's used responsibly and ethically. Always putting the student at the center.
Always.
Well said.
Oh,
Asa Ann's book has definitely given us a lot to think about.
it has.
What's one question you want our listeners to ponder
Okay.
as they go about their day?
I think I would ask them this. If AI could truly understand how you learn best, what doors could that open for you? What passions could you explore? What challenges could you overcome?
Wow, that's a really great question to leave our listeners with.
Yeah, it's a future worth imagining and working toward.
It is, it is.
Yeah.
Well, this has been another fascinating deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for lending your expertise to this conversation.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
This is definitely a topic we'll be revisiting as things continue to evolve.
I think we'll have to.
I think so too.
Mm.
For now, I hope this has sparked some new ideas and inspired our listeners to think differently about the future of learning.
Me too.
We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.